Welcome back to Pewdiepie. I'm Zui and I hope you enjoyed today's video. But before we get right into it, I'm obligated to remind you to click either the like or dislike button, commenting something down below, and of course sharing the video so more people can see and enjoy it. This is very important as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. I want you to know that your help is greatly appreciated. If you have any suggestions or ideas for a story, my Discord link is in my link tree that is down in the description, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi for any donations you may want to send my way. Every cent counts. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. The Sun and Moon Daycare and Diner was one of the many Fazbear franchises spread around the United States. It was located close to a big suburb and was surrounded by beautiful fields. The diner was open from 10 AM to 10 PM, and its daycare closed at 6. The restaurant was only closed during fertilizing season, for obvious reasons, and on Wednesdays. As the name implies, it was both a Fazbear diner and a Fazbear daycare. On its ground floor, food was served and eaten, and on the second floor, parents could drop off their toddlers for a few hours while they were at work or had better things to do. The reason the diner and the daycare were separated like this was so no customer would be inconvenienced by screaming toddlers, or, more importantly, no adult customer needed to be quiet during nap time. Nap time itself was from 12 PM to 2 PM, during which the shutters of the second floor closed. Due to the small size of Sun and Moon Daycare and Diner, it was shortly staffed and only had one dedicated animatronic, the daycare attendant himself. Outside of the machine, there were one human cook for burgers and fries, 2 human waiters for personalized meals such as birthdays, a Fazbear sales representative to make sure the franchise was profitable and well managed, an engineer on standby should the daycare attendant require repairs by the name of Kevin, whose job was to travel from Fazbear location to Fazbear location to do repairs. However, he primarily worked at the giant mega pizzaplex that was located just 1 hour away from the diner. And finally, there was you, the proud owner of the place. Anything else was filled in by the lovely and ever-useful staff bots. As the daycare and diner's owner, you had multiple roles to fulfill. 1. To keep the sales representative happy, so your location wouldn't be shut down. 2. You functioned as the quasi-night guard. 3. Your Fazbear franchise owner contract, try saying that 3 times in a row, required you to be in the restaurant for at least 10 hours on workdays, and check up on the place for 1 hour during days where the diner was closed. This included fertilizing season. Your 4th duty was customer experience. If there was a complaint, you were required to look into it. And your final duty was, of course, management. You were the one hiring and firing. You were the one making sure your employees got paid. And, most importantly, you made sure none of your employees dressed up in old Bonnie suits and started murdering customers. A clause in your franchise contract, you were more than once assured over and over that that was merely a joke on the games created by that conspiracy video game developer. What it really meant was just simply to make sure that the employees worked with a smile and were always on time. You liked your job well enough, and honestly, not having to deal with most customers was a godsend. You sat alone in your office/employee lounge. Closing time was quickly approaching and your night shift would soon begin. You always came to the diner at 8 PM and stayed until 6 AM, when the morning prep would begin. Thankfully, your life wasn't all work. After you finished your regular duties, like inventory and ordering restock, your night shift was just you sitting in your air-conditioned office until daybreak. Well, mostly at least. As around 2 a.m., unusual activity was reported in the daycare. Quickly you switched cameras on your office computer. Was the only noise you could make. The animatronic was jumping up and down as he was setting up pictures he had drawn himself. You furrowed your brows and exhaled. The machine had its quirks, sure, but this was a bit ridiculous. Currently, the attendant was set in his day mode, meaning his chipper sun self was active. This was thanks to the lights that remained on during the night. His moon half really only was active during nap time. Sighing, you grabbed your security tablet, left the office and walked up into the daycare. "What's happening here?" You spoke out loud as you entered. The robot, however, just looked at you, tilting his head, before shouting,
"You shouldn't be here yet! I'm not ready!"
You blinked. "What?" The robot made a little dance.
"I am not ready!"
"Ready for what?" He looked at you with wide eyes.
"I'm not going to tell you until I'm ready!"
You deadpanned. You needed to keep a relatively good relationship with the machine. While not fully sentient, their AI was quirky to say the least. You shrugged, annoyed. Yeah, sure. Maybe a no-nonsense approach wasn't warranted here. Not like he was breaking anything. But any behavior out of the usual was honestly a little terrifying to you. You returned downstairs, and just to give yourself something to do, you began sweeping the floor. The nagging desire to return upstairs just to make sure nothing terrible was about to happen was almost unbearable. Suddenly you heard a loud crash from upstairs. Immediately, you dropped your broom and rushed up the short stairwell. "Okay, what's happening up here?" "Huh." Your eyes widened. Crudely drawn finger paint papers were hung up on the ceiling, spelling the word birthed. On the floor laid the animatronic. Not broken, thankfully. More paintings had been set up around the daycare, and on one of the tables stood an origami crane? Where did that come from? The robot looked up.
"I'm still not done!"
But you had none of that. Quickly you approached the robot, took his hand, and helped him on his feet, while also checking for any cracks or dirt. Quickly dusting him off, he hummed shyly.
I guess the surprise is gone.
You blinked. What surprise? What are you even doing? The animatronic began to jump from one foot on the other.
"I'm making a birthday party!"
You furrowed your brows. There was no birthday parties booked for at least 2 weeks.
"Don't look so gloomy, Miss Owner. I'm not talking about a child's birthday.
Oh.
It's your birthday! Silly owner, who forgets their own birthday?
It wasn't your birthday. It was tomorrow. Wait, it was 2 a.m., wasn't it? Well, that meant technically it was. Oh, Sonny. You sighed softly. You didn't need to. Really. Your last 2 birthdays happened during fertilizer season, so you actually never realized the animatronic was programmed to recognize your birthday.
But, I made you something.
Happily, the robot walked to the table, picked up the paper bird like a precious item, and offered it to you.
This is for you,
he said. You took the bird with an awkward smile. Thanks.
Do you like it?
Your heart jumped out of sheer amusement. I mean, yeah. You surprised yourself at your own reaction to this. I actually like it a lot,
Well, I do regret to inform you
said the robot.
that I do not have the ability to make cake.
You shrugged and set the bird down on a nearby table, making a mental note to place it on your office table when you return to it. Sunny, you really don't have to.
I'm programmed to respond to any registered employee birthday. If an employee does not register their birthday, they will not get a present. You automatically register your birthday by signing the franchise contract.
Would have been nice if you had known that beforehand. You sighed and looked around the daycare. The pictures the robot had been setting up depicted him and what was most likely you on various occasions. One looked like you and him on a merry-go-round, and another one looked like the two of you were mermaids? How did that make any sense? But honestly, it was kind of sweet.
I was in the process of setting up the banner, but then I fell!
The robot pointed at a fallen-over chair, and you sighed. You're too expensive to risk stuff like this.
But no birthday is complete without a banner!
Son, this all has to be taken down when the place opens at 6.
So?
You don't mind that? Putting all this hard work in and then I just have to rip it down? He shook his head.
I just want to spend some time with my favorite owner.
Calling you favorite owner implied the existence of a second owner, but you didn't have time to ponder over this. And what do you have in mind? You said with a smirk. The daycare attendant's eyes narrowed, and with a cheeky tone said,
I know you like anime.
You blinked. Wait, was this why I was asked about my hobbies when I accepted the franchise?
Well, it was one of them.
You rubbed your eyes in annoyance. This goddamn corporation. The robot tilted his head curiously at your silence. Oh, wait, so you're programmed to basically sit down with me on a sofa and chill?
Well, I don't see any issue with that.
Your heart jumped. That actually sounded like a lot of fun. Taking the paper crane, you went down to your office. Robot right behind you. In your office, you pushed the employee sofa into the right angle to look at your work computer. I'm about to watch my shows with a goddamn robot, you mumbled. Why were you doing this? You couldn't help but smile, though. This was a little exciting. It definitely beat having a regular night shift. Quietly, you lay down on the ottoman, while the robot sat down excitedly in front of your feet. As the show began to play, the robot had 1,000 questions, or at least that's how it felt like. For one, you needed to explain the concept of anime. Then the fact that those drawn people weren't real. And most importantly, that he could in fact not climb into your desktop screen to help fight the bad guy. But it still was pleasant.
Well, what's happening now?
He asked suddenly. You furrowed your brows. A kiss scene between the anime protagonist Heihachi Ozuku and his beloved Hanako Hitomi Tanaka was taking place. Well, Heihachi defeated the big bad dragon guy lord thing, and now they're confessing their love and are kissing. The robot looked at you, and you narrowed your eyes. What?
Can we kiss?
You blushed hard. Why?
You said because they love each other. I love you, Miss Owner. You made sure I have a place to stay and gave me all my Fazbear entertainment requirements.
You didn't have the heart to tell him that this wasn't really how this worked. Crap. This could end in a big controversy. Crap. Come to think of it, this could potentially turn out to be a bigger controversy than when that pizza place had burned down a few months ago. Quickly you worked out an attack plan. You sat up, gulped, and then spoke calmly. So, let me explain. Kissing is a show of affection. It is something people do when they love each other. The robot faceplate turned upside down. But, he raised both hands. You only have one special someone you can kiss. That is very important, as otherwise your special someone will feel really, really bad. Honestly, you only explained it like this so he wouldn't start kissing the goddamn toddlers because of some misunderstanding.
Can I kiss you then?
You bit your lower lip. Well, you said awkwardly. That would make me a special someone.
Ha! I want that!
You closed your eyes for a second. You needed to make absolutely sure that there were never ever going to be any sex scenes in the shows you were probably going to watch with him in the near future. You sighed, giving up your resistance. Sure. Fine. He jumped back. What?
I didn't think you'd agree.
Seriously? Are you getting shy on me?
Maybe.
You sighed. You're the one who wanted this. He shifted in his seat.
Maybe if you were a little more enthusiastic.
You blinked, deadpanned, and then did something you never thought you'd do. Well, technically, it was a close second to kissing your own robot. Gently humming, you lied down on his lap. His mechanical legs felt hard on your back, and you kinda wished you had put a pillow on them first, but this wouldn't stay for too long, hopefully. He was completely overwhelmed. You could hear his cooling system begin to power up as he tried to process what was happening. What's with that face? You purred seductively. You wanted enthusiasm, right? This was more fun than you expected. And then without warning you cradled his neck, gently pushing him closer to you. Faces mere inches away. Is this enough enthusiasm?
Yes?
You rolled your eyes and pushed him down, your lips touching his. His faceplate was cold and hard like the rest of his body. Not to mention, his face was static, unlike that of other glamrock animatronics. But thankfully, your body didn't reject it, since it wasn't outright unpleasant. What was unpleasant was the machine's excited shaking, but you didn't really mind. There were far more worse things you could think of than this. After a tender moment of silence, the two of you separated. And? How was it? You hushed. You didn't need to ask, but you kind of relished in teasing him. His body jerked up.
Huh, I like it.
And before you could object, he put his arms under yours and pulled you up like a doll, putting you into a tight cuddling position. You were quite literally mushed between metal and a hard place. You sighed, exhausted, as you began to playfully hum. Luckily, 2 minutes later, the credits theme of the anime began to play.
Ah, it's over.
Well, if you let go of me for like 5 seconds, I can play the next episode.
Okay, we have a deal.
Today's video had been suggested by Discord user Organ Eater. Thank you for your kind suggestion. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and please remember to share the video so more people can see it. Thank you.